I literally just made a video where I was talking about the fiery pillar of light, and I was basically explaining how this pillar of light symbolized interdimensional travel, a being either entering or leaving this realm. And I came to that conclusion because Shiva, the Hindu god, first appeared from a fiery pillar of light. But I just came across this video that kind of took me down another rabbit hole, so I'm going to show you guys this video.
Let's talk about the hexagons in WandaVision. When they were used to close out the first episode's ending credits, I thought, oh, well, that's weird. Then they popped up again in episode 2, and they're all over episode 3, and then there was Bee Guy, and bees live in hives. Hives are made of hexagons, and this wallpaper looks like a beehive if you squint. Then episode 4 shows us that the field around Westview is also hexagon-shaped, meaning this reality is contained within a hexagon, just like the show itself is bookended by hexagons in the credits. Jimmy Woo is also wondering about it on his whiteboard. I don't think this show would call so much attention to this if it were a simple Easter egg. See, hexagons have 6 sides and 6 vertices and 6 angles. Pointed out that these pictures in his office are in the shape of a hexagon. Look a little closer and you'll see hexagon patterns on his rug. And that got me thinking that maybe hexagons are actually the building blocks of the universe that hold the MCU together. Why hexagons? Well, for instance, a hive is the most efficient structure in nature. Hexagons prevent any wasted space, unlike circles, which leave gaps between them. Think about where we've seen hexagons in the MCU before. Space travel. In the Guardians movies and Avengers Endgame, ships travel using the Universal Neural Teleportation Network, or UNTN. Now, this is a network of wormholes that the characters call jump points. This network is displayed as a grid of hexagons. Presumably, since they're using wormholes, these ships are passing through the 4th dimension. Perhaps the 4th dimension is held together with a network of hexagons. Due to its connection to the Infinity Stones, these shapes could be the building blocks of the universe.
So once I got to digging, I started to notice that hexagons were literally the shape for interdimensional travel, as you can see from this clip from the Spider-Man movie. As Miles Morales is going through the interdimensional portal, it is the shape of a hexagon. So that brings me back to these light pillars. There is a phenomenon where we can see these light pillars with our observable eye, as you can see from this image above. But what's fascinating to me is that these light pillars are formed because light is reflecting off ice crystals, forming the image of a light pillar. But if you look at these light crystals that the light is reflecting off of, it is in the shape of a hexagon. And that's how these light pillars are formed. You know how I always say they hide the truth in the media? Well, what's interesting to me is that in a science fiction series called Stargate, the term Antarctic outpost describes a hexagonal structure buried under the ice that served as the last remnant of an ancient civilization. And this is what it looked like. As you can see, it has the hexagon shapes. But what really ties everything in about this show is that it's literally called Stargate, which are portals that lead to other realms. Now keep this image in mind because it is going to come back up again later. So in Antarctica, they actually have these things called hexagonal open-top chambers. So I decided to dig deep and figure out what that even was. And basically, they are environmental manipulation. They create an artificial microclimate. They increase the air temperature within the hexagon, simulating future warming scenarios. So why make them in the shape of a hexagon? Well, because certain hexagonal materials, like hexagonal boron nitride, have a layered structure that allows for very high thermal conductivity within the hexagonal plane. This is ideal for spreading heat away from a source. That part is important. Honeycomb panels are used for heat shielding. So let's say, for example, that a firmament was placed upon our realm and its purpose was to spread heat away from the internal artificial environment. That would explain why we are surrounded by an ice wall. Perhaps this firmament is made up of this hexagonal structure, spreading the heat away from the ice wall barrier. And that would make sense if we look at the movie The Hunger Games, because when Katniss shot her bow at the dome, it revealed a hexagonal structure. So the firmament could be made out of this hexagonal structure. So basically, our realm would be an artificial microclimate. And this is a visual of what that would look like. And if you were to create hundreds of these artificial microclimates, it would resemble this, which looks very similar to the other realms beyond the ice wall. Each one of them their own artificial microclimate, meaning within each dome, it could have its own weather, its own ecosystem, its own environment, terrain. Now, when it comes to the waters above this hexagonal firmament, it wouldn't be composed of H2O as we know it. It would be composed of H3O2, which is structured water, hexagonal water. So the waters above are not ordinary water, but structured dimensional waters, the medium through which interdimensional travel occurs. So the waters above would be energetic waters, a kind of living plasma type of water. And that's why I said to remember this image, because this could be what our realm looks like from the outside of our hexagonal firmament. And if our firmament is made up of hexagons, that would explain how the light pillars or interdimensional travel is possible within this realm.
Based on everything you just saw in that video, you can clearly see that this whole entire realm that we exist in is hexed. Blue ice fragments are being discovered in different parts all around the world. It kind of makes sense with all of this "the sky is falling" content that's floating around. But make sure to run up the creator's content on her page. Is the sky about to fall?